Hello everyone, welcome to Amy's Bookshelf. So recently on Instagram, somebody messaged me and basically asked if I'd be able to do a YouTube video talking about how I balance my 9 to 5 with being a content creator as well. I'll put their messages here so you can see what they said. And I thought it was a really interesting conversation. It's definitely something that I think everybody's going to do differently. So the advice that I give you in this video, don't feel like you have to follow it. I'm not the god of content creation, but this is just things that work for me, and things that I have sort of learnt now doing this for I think like 5-6 years. So the journey I've sort of gone on in those years and how I've ended up where I am now and what works for me, and hopefully some of those things will work for you as well. So I'll try and give some good advice. Hello, it's Editing Amy here. I'm still relatively new to the YouTube game, so it's only when I'm watching my videos back that I realise I've probably missed quite important information. So I thought I'd actually just introduce myself quickly if you're watching this video and you're not familiar with my content. So my name is Amy and I run Amy's Bookshelf. I have a blog called Amy's Bookshelf and I also run loads of social media channels, mainly TikTok and Instagram. The links are in the description. I've got about 100,000 followers on TikTok and Instagram. I'll put some screenshots here. And I've been doing it for about 6 years. I post about books, I do book reviews, I do book videos, recommendation videos, anything about books, I'm probably talking about it. So yeah, that's a bit about me, but I'll leave you back with video Amy. So yeah, I have a 9 to 5. It's technically an 8:30 to a 4:30. And I'm really fortunate that I work from home. So what that means, I mean, that already makes my life easier because in my lunch break, I can film some content, I can take some Instagrams, which does make things a lot easier, especially during the winter where it gets to 4 o'clock and it's already dark, so I can't really do anything in the evening. So yeah, I'm really fortunate to have that. However, I haven't always worked from home. Before the pandemic, I worked in an office and that was 9 till 5:30. So yeah, Monday to Friday during the winter, just a no-go. I couldn't do content then at all, which made it really tricky to have everything I needed. But what that meant was that I had to just be more organised with the free time that I did have at the weekends. And if that's you as well and you do work in an office, then obviously things will be slightly different. But yeah, you just need to organise your time so that you can allow yourself to have some allotted time to create content. So in this video, I'm kind of going to go over 3 areas that like I said, over the last 5 or 6 years that I've learned that I feel work, and try and give you some tips and advice within those sort of areas. So I will get into it. So my first talking point, I have some notes here. My first talking point is basically using your time on social media effectively. So what I mean by that is when you're scrolling through social media, because I think the best content creators are also probably the biggest users of social media as well, because the best way to be influenced, to be inspired, is through just using social media. So all of that time that you spend scrolling through Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, make sure that you're using that effectively. And that's not to say that everything you do on social media has to be productive, but if you see content that you like, if you feel inspired by content, make sure you're making notes of that. So obviously on Instagram and TikTok, the saved function is so useful. So I'll put a screenshot of some of mine here, but you can use those albums to refer back to later when you have the time to be creating content. So whether it's a video that you want to copy, obviously with credit, or whether it's just something that inspired you, or perhaps it's a piece of music that you want to use in a reel, or it's like a photo that's edited in a way that you really like and you want to try and emulate, save it, make little notes for yourself so you can remember it later, and then when you have the time to be doing that or creating content, look back at these albums, and it's so useful because you're basically doing it ahead of time, and I can't tell you how many times I'm so grateful to me for when I say to myself, okay, I'm going to create a TikTok, and I go on my saved music, my saved sounds, and I've already saved like 4 or 5 sound bites that I know I wanted to use, and I barely even remember saving them because it was probably like 11:30 at night and I'm in bed scrolling, but I've seen a video or seen a sound that I'm like, oh, I could use that, and I've saved it, and that's so helpful because then it's ready to go. So yeah, I really can't underestimate how useful it is to save things. And yeah, just be inspired by other people. I think that's the best way to sort of create your own brand as well. Especially when you're first starting out, it can be a bit daunting to know what to do, to kind of find your own style, but definitely being influenced by other people is the best way to do that, in my opinion. Like I said, don't outright copy anybody's content, especially without credit, but I know as a creator myself that if I've created a photo or a reel and somebody else wants to do the same thing, I'm more than happy for them to do that, obviously with credit. But social media is all about sharing ideas. It's all about being inspired and being creative. So yeah, definitely that is the biggest area I think you can make sure that you are being productive even when you're not actually creating the content. Okay, so that's sort of the first area I wanted to talk about, and then moving on to area number 2, that is about capitalising on your productivity. Now, for me personally, I know that I can log off from work and I can think to myself, okay, today or this evening I am going to do XYZ. However, if I've had a really long day at work or a hard day at work, or I'm just not feeling in the space to be creating content, don't bother. Don't do it. It's not worth it. If you're not in the mood and you're not feeling creative, the content you create is probably not going to be that good, because I am very much a believer that your content should be a reflection of you. It should be a reflection of your authenticity, but also of your creativity. And if you're not feeling creative, that content's probably not going to be great. So don't force yourself to do it. I would rather have 1 great post than 10 mediocre posts, because who's going to care about the mediocre ones? They're going to care about the 1 really good one. So don't beat yourself up if you said you were going to post something, or you're trying to stick to a schedule but you've missed a couple of days, or you said you were going to post, say, a video on YouTube and you missed it because you didn't have time to film it. It's fine. Nobody cares. The benefit of being a content creator is that you are your own boss. So don't worry if you miss something. Even if you've said to your followers you're going to do it, they're not going to care. Like I said, they want you to be authentic, and part of that authenticity is being honest and saying, sorry guys, didn't have time to film what I said I was going to, but I'll get it out to you whenever. Nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to mess you. Like, I can't believe you didn't post when you said you were going to. It doesn't happen. And yeah, also, if you do miss a day, miss 2 days, who cares? You know, it's still going to be there when you go back to it. I think it gets a bit different when you start missing weeks and months, because I think part of it should be to show up, and I'll get onto that later. But definitely missing a day or 2 is not going to affect anything, so don't beat yourself up about it if you just aren't in the mindset to be creating content and you haven't got anything to post. That's absolutely fine. And then going on from that is about capitalising your productivity. And what I mean by that is, if you're in a really creative mood, so you finish your day at work and you feel really pumped to create content and you're in a really great space to do it, you're feeling creative, capitalise on that. So take as much content as you possibly can. I remember there was a day last year when I was quite new to TikTok, because I've only been posting on TikTok properly for less than a year. But there was a day I was just feeling really creative, and like I said earlier, I had all those sounds saved, I had loads of ideas, and I created about 15 TikToks in an hour. Like, I just got them done. And it's just because I was in the mood for it, you know? Sometimes you're just feeling creative, you're in the right space, and you can just do that. And that's great, because that's over a fortnight's worth of content done in an hour. I mean, obviously I then had to add the captions, edit them, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I had the videos done, which are the most important thing. Because especially if you have a 9 to 5, like I said, if in the evenings after work, the light isn't good, or you can't take any content, what you can be doing is editing those videos, or adding captions, or adding whatever you want to the videos. Because I know for myself, when I film a video, if that's for YouTube, for TikTok, for Instagram, whatever, I don't necessarily edit right there and then, because that's something you can do at any point. You can do that in front of the telly, you can do that while you're cooking dinner. Like, you don't have to be doing it when the light is good, when you're in a creative mindset, blah blah blah. So yeah, it helps to break it up a bit for me. So yeah, definitely capitalise on your productivity, but don't force yourself to do it if you're not feeling productive, because that will be reflected in your content, and that's not good for anybody. Yeah, okay, so that's sort of my second area. And then the third area, which I sort of touched on, is showing up consistently, even if that's not regularly, and also finding your own rhythm. So firstly, showing up. Like I said before, you don't have to be posting every day. I don't I'm really not somebody who champions the idea that in order to be an influencer you have to post on social media every day, because that's a lot. That is a lot of somebody's time you're asking for, and I just don't think it's actually necessary, and I certainly don't believe that you have to post every day in order to be successful. Now, like I said earlier, that doesn't mean that you can go months in between posting, because I do think that does start to affect things, and onto that second point that I mentioned, it's about finding a rhythm, and I think if you allow yourself to have big breaks, you're losing the rhythm of posting, and therefore it becomes harder to get back into that rhythm. So I know that I think the longest time I ever go without posting is probably 4 days, which again doesn't even sound like a lot, but for me I don't find it too difficult, because I found my rhythm with it. Because for me, I can create content quite quickly when I'm in those creative moods and when I have the ideas, and because I've saved all of those sounds from earlier, from when I was scrolling in bed, so I can get some things out. You know, normally on a Saturday, for example, if I've got an hour of time, I can create at least 3 posts, and that will actually be all of the content I need for the week, because I, a lot of the time now anyway, post sort of every other day rather than every day, and especially if you're posting for Instagram, for example, if you're posting on your stories as well, you don't have to have new posts every day, because stories are a lot well, for me anyway, stories are a lot less polished, and they can just be spur of the moment, spontaneous things that you take pictures of, like something you're eating for dinner or a book you're reading, like an update on your current read, and obviously they can just be taken and posted quite quickly. So if you're showing up to your stories, then even more so, you don't have to be posting consistently on your feed. So yeah, don't worry about not showing up really regularly, but try and show up consistently. So if you are the sort of person that wants 2-3 days in between your posts, that's fine, but I would say do that consistently, because actually then your followers know, oh, it's been a couple of days since you posted, you might post again very soon, so they kind of know what to expect. And that's not to say that you can't be unpredictable about things. Again, it's social media. I don't think anybody's really keeping that much of a track on what you're doing. But yeah, if you can't show up really regularly, like every day, then try and show up consistently so your followers know what to look for. And I think that can be really helpful. I know that there are some influencers, for example, who don't post at the weekends, because they kind of treat their posting like a 9 to 5, so they do it Monday to Friday. I'm not necessarily someone that agrees with that, because personally I think that the weekends can be a great time to be posting, because a lot of people are spending more time on social media. However, if you want to have really strict boundaries with your social media consumption and how you're showing up on social media, then doing it Monday to Friday is a really good way to keep that boundary, and then obviously keep a healthy relationship with it, and make sure that your mental health isn't being affected by it. So if that works for you, then absolutely go ahead and do something like that. Or it doesn't have to be Monday to Friday. Say you just choose not to post on, I don't know, Wednesdays and Thursdays, or whatever works for you. Taking a couple of days off every week could be something that's really helpful. But again, if you do that consistently, then people know not to look for your new posts on those days, which I think can be really helpful. So yeah, they're my sort of 3 areas, my 3 tips, the 3 things I've learnt and that I find productive when I am creating new content, and yeah, trying to balance it with my job. I am really lucky that I'm very strict with my 9 to 5. I don't stay overtime if I don't need to, because it's a 9 to 5. I should only be there within my hours. And most of the time, 99.9% of the time, nobody is going to die if you don't send that email the night that you think you need to. If you send it the next day, it's probably going to be fine. And I think it is really important to keep boundaries with your work. That includes content creation as well, and it similarly goes into what I was saying earlier, like not forcing yourself to do it, because that's really helpful for your mental health as well. If you feel really drained by it because you're forcing yourself to do it when you're not in the mood, and you feel like you have to be showing up, you feel like you have to be posting, it's just not going to be good for you. So keeping some strict boundaries is really helpful, but like I said, that goes for your 9 to 5 as well as your content creation. And yeah, if it's helpful for you, just getting yourself into a schedule. So you know, if you know that you don't often have plans on a Sunday morning, that can be the time that you really try and capitalise on your productivity by taking as much content as you can. And in my experience anyway, you only need a couple of hours a week and you honestly can have all the content you need for an entire week. And I think it helps once you've been doing it as long as I have. I very much know my style. I have a lot of sort of templated images that I take for Instagram. I'll put some up here so you can see the kind of thing I mean. Which makes it a lot easier because, say for example, I want to post about a current read, obviously the caption is going to be wildly different depending on the book, but I can still use a very similar style of photo that I've used in the past, that I know people like or that I like personally. And that's really helpful because I don't have to have such a creative buzz in my brain in order to think of that image. I've already kind of got it, so I can just use one from the past, which is really helpful. And I think that kind of thing just comes with experience. But going back to what I said right at the beginning, it also comes from being inspired by other creators, because you might see a photo of theirs that you really like and you want to emulate, and that's great. So you can then take that and make it your own. So yeah, I hope you found this useful. And if you are new to Instagram or content creating, then feel free to leave a comment so we can chat about what your experience has been so far, or if you have any more questions. I can do more videos like this if people have like more specific questions. Obviously this was just off the back of one message I got on Instagram, and I realise it's kind of been a bit all over the place, but hopefully you found it useful. And yeah, I have some more videos coming very soon, so look out for those. And yeah, if you are new to content creating, then good luck with your pages, and try to enjoy it as much as you possibly can, because it's not worth it if you don't. And yeah, I will see you next time. Please like this video and please subscribe to my channel to see the new videos. Yeah, and I'll see you very soon. Bye!